There's going to be a type of consumer that just discovers and shops products within ChatGPT, so you need to be there. I do think it'll have like more staying power. One of the problems right now with ChatGPT as a acquisition channel is you have like no visibility. Like you don't have a Google Search Console. You don't have a Google Trends. You can't tell where things are trending, where you're ranking. Like it's hard to optimize against, frankly. It's just kind of a black box.
Most people would think you shouldn't send an email right away, because that people haven't gotten the product yet. People are actually going to be most likely to buy right away. That's actually probably your most incremental moment to try to, get them. And every time we've tested, sending more performs better than sending less.
Yeah, intuitively, you would think, hey, the person just purchased from you, let them receive the product, let them like the product. They're going to be most likely to purchase at that point. But really, we continue to move that messaging up, or we continue to for a long time. We can't move it up anymore. And every time we move it up, they're just more likely to purchase. We're just driving more performance at that point. You're starting a brand today from scratch. You have $0 in revenue. I'd like to know who your first 3 marketing hires are.
I'm going to go with a...
All right, we are back with another episode of Marketing Operators, episode 80. I broke my streak last week, but I'm excited to get back on the grindstone. 81 straight episodes from here, and I'll break my previous record. Cody, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, thanks for coming back. It's it's hard to get a hold of you sometimes. It's been got you for like 3 minutes in person at Beanstalk, and you're in China. Just hard to get you scheduled. And now Connor's not here, so it's like I feel like I'm the consistent one these days.
Yeah,
that's funny because usually I'm like the hard one, and I miss the most.
I was thinking it's just going to get for little inside baseball, the logistics of scheduling a CMO, CEO, and head of growth of 9-figure brands going into Q4, not all that easy. You might be surprised. We've got other things to do than record podcasts, a couple times
Sometimes
a week.
I think about it, I'm like, oh, like I feel like you guys are going to kill me. But I'm like, if we weren't busy, it probably wouldn't be a good podcast. We'd have nothing to talk about.
Yeah, totally. And I have a Marketing Operators episode to listen to that I wasn't a part of for the first time.
Dude, I think it was a good one. I feel like we just get better and better, but it was really fun because like I really hadn't chatted with Connor. I feel like we were on a few like guest episodes, but I really feel like I haven't chatted with him since like the Meta Summit. So it was like fun. So I'm excited for this as well. I think this is our third ever chat, individual, you and I.
Yeah. True. Well, cool. Stoked.
I wanted to talk China.
Yeah, a little bit. Have you ever been?
I have been high school, so I haven't been like professionally. Been in high school, and it's a crazy place. It was a lot of fun, but I know you're there for work, so I'm excited to hear what you guys did.
Yeah, I have a couple small takeaways. One, we flew in and out of Hong Kong because it's easier to fly in there than straight into mainland China. There's just a ton of flights. Hong Kong, incredible cityscape. Like topographically, one of my favorite places I've ever been. It's nestled within like mountains, and then it's also on the ocean. So you're like on the water, and then Hong Kong immediately just ascends up to a mountaintop. So you have this incredibly dense city. It's the second densest metropolitan area, just behind like the center of Paris. I looked up a couple stats on my flight, which was 14 hours. I had plenty of time to like ChatGPT stuff. Hong Kong's 40,000 people per square mile, and the center of Paris is like 50,000, like the mile in the center of Paris. So, and then, Salt Lake City, Utah is 1,900 per square mile. So we're talking like 20-fold in terms of density, and it just being in this very interesting topographic location, I thought was really cool. So that was one that like blew me away. I like couldn't believe how interesting Hong Kong was as a city.
Super dense.
2, we got caught in the typhoon last week, so that threw off all of our plans. It was Typhoon Regasa was like the 20th biggest storm on record. We were supposed to go into mainland China, but the government shut down all the roads between all the cities, all the freeways they shut down. So we were like, all right, we can't head in. Delayed that trip a little bit, so we had to spend some more time in Hong Kong. Fine, but a bit of a wrinkle. And then getting to mainland China, I've got one interesting thing, and then the other one's very obvious. One is we came with like a list, and this was basically the purpose of the trip. At Ridge, we try to get a team going to China once a year. And, forming business relationships is always important, but I think it's particularly important in the Chinese culture, and particularly important when you have people around the world that you're like staking your business on both sides. Like we need them to manufacture everything that we sell. They need us to honor our payments and things like that and continue showing up with orders. So we go, and we've obviously been working with these manufacturers for months at this point, and we have like a relatively long list. We go to 4 different places in the span of like 36 hours because it's all compressed down. So we're like in and out of these places. And when I was going into it, I was like, what are we going to get done? Like how constructive can a meeting be if we're with our power bank manufacturer for 40 minutes or something? I'm like, it seems like a really short trip for us to have traveled 14 hours for. But we have this list put together by our product.
You shave off 10 cents. 10 cents per unit, it's worth it.
Well, totally. No, and let me tell you, so we have a list like per manufacturer of things that we're looking for. Better payment terms. We want them to keep up backup inventory. We want them to be more communicative when it comes to engineering, things like all sorts of stuff like that. Apparently, and again, this isn't really my side of the business, so I'm unfamiliar with these conversations, but we've been having these conversations for a long time, asking for payment terms, asking for things like this. They can't do it. They can't do it. They can't do it. They can't do it. We sit down in each of their office spaces and we say, hey, we'd like payment terms. They're like, all right, we could do it.
Yeah.
And it's that simple. And I mean, I do think from what I understand, us traveling all that way, showing face, we got a couple important lunches, we got an important dinner, we brought gifts, like just that whole like cultural exchange and relationship building is just so instrumental in these types of relationships. That like, that's what it takes to get the equivalent. We discussed the goal for certain COGS on items. So like, I think it was also productive maybe over the medium term of like actually dropping costs. But by and large, it was like, we've kind of built up all these requests that we had, and then we just walked in and got them done in like a really efficient manner. So I had never been a part of a process like that. I was blown away. I was like, this is a crazy thing.
So when you listened to the episode Connor I did, Connor was like, do you know what Connor went for? I was like, well, like normally I know what ops and like CEOs go for. Like maybe Connor's shooting content in the factories.
No. I went because our chief product officer, so Sean's going, our CEO, our chief product officer's just about to have a baby, so he couldn't go. Our VP of product just broke his ankle like a month and a half ago, so he was out. So I was third on the depth chart. So
nice. I love that.
The VP broke his ankle and Sean was like, hey, do you want to go? And I'm like, yeah. It's the best time for me to go, like mid-September. I wouldn't have been able to do it if it was any later. So yeah, I was like, I sent that meme.
Who else went from your guys' team?
Just us.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. In the past, we've had different product people go, but for this trip, it was just us. I did send, that meme of Big Bird just like sitting at the conference table?
Yeah.
That's how I felt a little bit.
You're just like, what do I do here?
Yeah. I've never spoken with any of these people before, but regardless, very productive, held it down. My second less exciting update is the Chinese food was absolutely fantastic.
That was going to be my next question.
It was so good. Yeah. Everything we had was delicious. We went to Shenzhen, which is known for its roasted goose. That was great. We had a Hunan meal that was much spicier than expected. But one of my big takeaways coming back is I got to find a good Chinese spot nearby.
I think moving to LA will help with that probably.
Oh yeah,
I don't know how it is in Utah, but
it'll be much better in LA. And I got that coming up.
Yeah, when's that?
Friday next week.
Dude, busy.
Busy between Napa for Postscript, Beanstalk in New York, China, and then heading back to LA. It'll have been a big like 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hopefully get some time to chill, to lock in. Everyone seems to be on that lock-in grind right now.
100%, dude. So cool. We've got a bit of an agenda, but before we begin, I want to thank our sponsors, Motion, Rich Panel, Prescient, Aftercell, and Revo.
On October 9th, Motion is hosting the 4th annual Creative Strategy Summit. The virtual event is free to attend, and it is where the best performance creative teams on the planet share what's working. Seriously, I have attended this the last few years, and I am really blown away at the reputation and the people that Motion is bringing on and just the quality of the content that these amazing creative strategists are talking about at this event. And we're really going to learn what's working, how they're evolving their creative strategy, and the overall bigger shifts in the world of DTC and creative. It's over 6 hours of programming featuring elite DTC brands and a must-attend event for anyone working in paid social. I'm going to be there. Cody and Connor are going to be there. Plus, the marketing operators are doing a live podcast episode. So we're really excited about that. There was over 18,000 people registered last year, 5,000 people tuned in live, and many performance creative teams block out this day and just make this a learning moment for the entire company. And it's been really, really critical and important for guiding our creative strategy. I remember the last few years, we've had a lot of information from the event get infused into our creative strategy in the following few months. Like I said, some of the best, sharpest creative strategy minds in DTC are presenting at the Creative Strategy Summit being put on by Motion. I'm really excited about this list of people. It includes Dara Denny, Sarah Levinger, Morella Crespi, Lee Jozelowitz, Savannah Sanchez, and a lot more to be announced soon. Seriously, some of the best minds in creative strategy right now. Plus, if you cannot attend, all the recordings are going to be recorded, so you should sign up anyway, even if you're not able to attend when the recordings are live in real time. So get your free ticket at motionapp.com/creative-strategy-summit. It's happening on October 9th at 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure not to miss it.
I've got a couple things in the docket here. One is OpenAI and the ChatGPT shopping and the Shopify integration. I feel like we should touch base on it. I think it'll probably be a huge discussion point over the next 14 months. It's probably the thing in 2026. I was thinking about it again this morning. I think AppLovin is an interesting comp in terms of narrative. Like, I think as advertisers, we're like constantly looking for, one, we want to be early to platforms because there's typically arbitrage, and that was definitely true of AppLovin last Q4. But then two, we're all looking for ways to diversify outside of Google and Meta. And we're just clamoring for that. And it's like, maybe that's AppLovin, maybe that's ChatGPT. But honestly, there's like, the list is short in terms of like scalable channels.
Very short.
So cool. So ChatGPT rolled out a direct integration with Shopify, which is super exciting. We've had Harley on in the past who talked about, as a platform, they want to be wherever commerce is happening. They think it's happening more and more in chat interfaces. I'm curious if you have any like high level takes on the ChatGPT integration, or how you guys at Jones Road are like scoping the opportunity of it in the maybe short and medium term.
I don't. I think this is like a sign I'm getting old, because like I feel like I'm getting asked a lot, like, what's your AI SEO strategy, you know, or GEO strategy? I'm like, oh, we're not doing anything. And like, everyone's like, you need to be, like, you should be. And I feel like I'm just so focused on like current channel mixes, like, hey, how do we get TV performing better? How do we get influencer performing better? Like, how do we get Meta performing better? That like maybe I'm just getting old, but I feel like maybe I should devote a little bit more. I think, I don't know, we've seen so many things come and go, and people like hop on them and like move their whole business. I mean, I think like TikTok Shop is one example. I know like brands can crush it on TikTok Shop. There's like 9-figure brands that are crushing it, that like it's very sustainable and it's helping them outside of it. But there's also brands who have like pivoted there and are like now struggling, you know? So I just am super weary of these things that kind of come and go. And I'm like a huge AI proponent, so I don't think it's going to come and go. I just don't know and haven't seen the evidence that like it's worth hiring an agency for it right now or doing it. And maybe I'm completely wrong. There's probably somebody listening right now. It's like, you're such an idiot, and you're like, you're completely wrong about that. But so I'm like paying attention, but we're not doing anything yet. How about you? What's your take?
Well, I like yours a lot. I think by the time this comes out, our episode with McCoy, the Operators Titans with McCoy, will have come out. And one thing he said that like totally resonated with me, and I feel the exact same way, is being like almost anti-new channel. Like, you have to, as a marketing operator within any organization, particularly like leadership, I think we have to be extremely disciplined in like where we're spending time. And it's so easy to be like chasing the shiny new thing, and you see a tweet or you get a Slack or whatever, you get a cold email of something that seems enticing, and then you can spend a couple weeks like going down that rabbit hole. And it not become anything. So I err on that side as well. What I'll also say is LLM shopping, or ChatGPT shopping in particular, feels like more of a foundational platform opportunity than TikTok Shops. TikTok Shops is another great comp of something that a couple years ago, and many brands found as a great alternative to Meta and Google, but it's under such particular conditions, it seems. It's like more or less any decent brand can show up and spend money on Facebook and Google. If you can't do that, it's like you have a really hard battle to win. But the people winning on TikTok Shops are like, they all look a little bit more similar. They're going to be at more similar price points. They're going to be running more similar offers. They're going to be targeting a more similar type of consumer, I think. ChatGPT feels more like, I was talking to someone yesterday, I said it feels more like an Amazon comp. There's going to be a type of consumer that just discovers and shops products within ChatGPT, so you need to be there. So I do think it'll have like more staying power. And then the last thing that I'll say, and you and I are in an advantaged position here, is that one reason I'm less interested in being like the fast mover as it relates to GEO, which is like generative engine optimization, is because I think as established brands, we already have it in many ways. We are working with an agency now who's building a product to help with LLM visibility. And it's like, at least as it relates to wallets, like Ridge is number one. Like if you were looking for wallets on an LLM, like Ridge isn't not coming up. And that's just because we have a 10-year head start of like seeding the internet with like positive reviews and content and, presence of Ridge selling wallets. So I think for all those reasons, we're also one, going to move slow. Two, I think there will still be a medium and long-term opportunity that's very important. And then three, as a larger brand, we have an advantage in it. So I guess we'll kind of see how it shakes out. Would you have any different advice for smaller brands? Or is there anybody else, if you were in a different position, you might be considering it more as an opportunity?
I don't know. I'm very open. Like I agree with all of your takes and your stances. I'm very open to the possibility that I'm wrong. And like that,
right.
This is the most important thing we should be doing. And again, like maybe not for now. It's not like, hey, pull out of Meta and like go all in on it, and spend $50K a day on it. But like, it seems like they're going to be launching ads. It seems like maybe I'm like more excited about it then. Maybe I'm just an ad guy. I'm not like an SEO guy. But like, I just haven't seen the proof point that like, okay, this is actually like a meaningful investment and something that, we are doing. I'm just trying to find some GA stats now. I know in like 3 months ago, we talked about, getting 4 purchases from it. I'm just curious to see if it's increased at all. Is this something you've looked at?
No. Here, I could quickly pull it up here too. This is actually one of the few times I ever go into GA.
I was going to say, I could find it so much quicker in old one. Yeah, like last 38 days, we have 380 users.
Last 30 days?
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, maybe you could make the argument that it's because we're not optimizing it, but like, it's not like, oh man, this is crushing it. Like there's something here. People are looking and finding us. Like,
yeah, we've had 1,000 people in the last 30 days.
You're doing better than us.
40 conversions.
That's pretty good conversion rate.
Yeah, totally. But then you hear other, I'm trying to think. Like, I've heard a couple other just anecdotes where it was like, there's some sort of supplement brand that figured out how to rank for the very particular type of benefit that they were providing. And ChatGPT became like a very powerful source. I do think if I was way smaller today, there's going to be like some growth hacking opportunities where, hey, if I can figure out these like long terms I'd love your thoughts on this because part of our strategy at Ridge, I don't even think this is a hot take, but like, unless it can make a meaningful impact, it's almost best for us to not care about it.
Oh, you said that. I think when we were planning like a channel expansion, like end of last year, you're like, I'm just not interested in a channel that we're going to spend $2,000 a day on.
Yeah. And I think fully optimizing in the short term, we could double our traffic and our conversions and, we'd make like a couple $1,000. And it's like, oh yeah, that's just right now going into Q4 with everything else we're considering, like that just cannot be a high priority.
I was thinking about that. You actually said that, and I think about it pretty often about like how you're not, and like I've been thinking about that a lot too, because I was actually thinking about Snapchat this morning just as I was listening to operators, and Sean mentioned Snapchat as something I think they're probably talking about AI, like the same topic. And I was like, yeah, like that would have been so dumb for me to try to get on Snapchat to reach a younger audience versus like if we can get Meta working to reach a younger audience, like we can spend, I don't want to say unlimited, but like you can spend, like pretty decent money per day,
right.
6 figures per week versus like way less on Snapchat. So it's like, yeah, absolutely agree about that. And it's just all about like your leverage.
And that's what I think I saw. It might have been Revo, honestly. Stuart at Revo mentioned that like they're finding more and more referrals coming from ChatGPT of like people looking for account tools or something. When you have these like more niche sort of products and services that are going to get discovered from very like long tail queries, it does make sense where it's like you may be better off trying to optimize it. But for someone like us, here's the last point. Well, I'll make a couple more points here. One is we are working with an agency because I think step one of the problems right now with ChatGPT as a acquisition channel is you have like no visibility. Mm-hmm. Like you literally, you don't have a Google Search Console. You don't have a Google Trends. You can't tell where things are trending, where you're ranking. Like it's hard to optimize against, frankly. It's just kind of a black box. So I think there are services popping up to provide that visibility. We're talking with people to do that now. And that's where we're finding we technically have great generative engine optimization as it relates to wallets, and there's probably some opportunity in rings. So we're going to do that short term. There are a couple things that I would be willing to invest in just to kind of plant the seeds in case it becomes important long term. I mentioned this on a podcast months ago. I'd been discussing this with a marketer at a really big B2B software company.
Can I guess what you're going to say?
Sure.
Seeding Reddit.
No, I'm not going to say seeding Reddit.
Was that you? I don't know if that was you that mentioned it.
Well, it might have been me because I have told you when Sean and I started working together at our first job, we were like astroturfing Reddit for clients. We built a full subreddit. So it's come full circle that we should have stayed down that path and we would have had a great agency business 10 years later.
Because I want to hear what you're going to say, but I know people that are doing that. They're like, hey, if ChatGPT is just getting everything from Reddit, let's just like seed Redditor. I don't even know if they're Redditors or seed subreddits and just like get people talking about us on Reddit more.
Yeah, well, you know what we used to do? And I'm sure this is what it looks like. We used to use a service. You could only pay in crypto. And again, this was 2017. So we were
sketchy.
We were super sketchy. Yeah, we were buying $15 Ethereum so that we could pay for aged and high karma accounts on Reddit to post about the products. And then you pay for upvotes. And then if you had good content from a reputable account, it would get posted. If you just had enough of that initial traction, and that's paying for those initial upvotes, you're going to get visibility on the subreddit. And if it's good posts, it would then take off organically. And we had a number of posts get like thousands of upvotes. And that was more or less what we did for like an entire subreddit to kind of like rank well for this brand's brand terms with like positive reviews and comments and anecdotes.
You're just way ahead of your time.
Apparently. Yeah. Because that was not all that fruitful back in 2017. It was like a very fun, hacky thing to do, but wasn't worth our time back then. I was going to say, I mentioned this on many months ago, big B2B SaaS operator was telling me they'll look for queries that they might show up in. And then in ChatGPT, you can see what articles were referenced to generate your answer. And then those articles are often different than what are ranking on the top 10 of Google search. So you can actually go out to them and they're not getting a lot of traffic or queries or AdSense, or they don't know quite how valuable their article is. So you can actually pay or somehow negotiate getting better treatment in those articles. And then that will ultimately influence the ChatGPT response.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah. And I think that's what a lot of these agencies are going to do. The astroturfing of social content's probably easier, frankly. But like, if you look at what these LLMs are referencing to generate the answers, manipulating the articles that are influential in those answers is, I think, another like really, will end up being effective.
Awesome. Cool. I like that. That's really smart.
If you are running or operating a DTC brand, the next few months, BFCM and the holidays are your Super Bowl. The question is, are you doing everything you can to maximize average order value on every single purchase? Aftersell by Rocked makes sure you are. Aftersell is the leading post-purchase optimization suite trusted by over 50,000 e-commerce brands. With one-click upsells, cart and checkout optimizations, and Rocked Thanks monetization, Aftersell helps you get the most out of every transaction without adding friction. Brands like Jones Road, Ridge Wallet, Hexclad, and Shoe Classic love it, and here's why. The data tells the story. One-click post-purchase upsell that convert up to 16% of buyers instantly. Smart checkout and cart offers that feel natural, not pushy, driving up to 30% higher AOV. And Rocked Thanks, which turns your thank you page into a profit center with premium partner offers from brands like Disney Plus and HelloFresh. Hexclad's been using Aftersell for a really long time. I love Aftersell. First off, there's no friction with Aftersell. It's all happening post-purchase. So it plugs in really, really well with your existing funnels that your team is spending hours building and optimizing. And it truly is just incremental revenue on top of orders you're already going to get. Naturally, a subset of people that have already made a purchase for you are going to see this Aftersell push. There's going to be an offer that they really like, and they're going to add that product on with one click. There is literally hundreds of thousands of dollars of incremental revenue happening on Hexclad every single month simply through this post-purchase Aftersell up and cross-sell. And it is very easy to set up. You don't need any custom design, no custom HTML. It plugs in really nicely to your post-purchase page, and it's just incremental revenue on top of all the conversions that you're already driving. So it's really a no-brainer to set up. It's crushing for Hexclad. On average, brands using Aftersell see a 30% lift in AOV and $20,000 to $30,000 in pure profit per 100,000 orders from Rocked Thanks alone. Don't just sell more, make more from what you're already selling. Head to aftersell.com/operators to activate Rocked Thanks and get the full Aftersell suite free exclusively for Marketing Operators listeners.
I agree on the Shopify piece. Like, I think when we had Harley on, he talked about it, of like the future of it. I'm not worried about Shopify getting disrupted because like Harley and Toby just seem so on top of AI and kind of, where skating to where the puck is going. And I think they'll just become more of like a logistics and operations company. Like they won't just be like a website development company. Like maybe you don't need that, but then it's like, all right, like there's still this other huge piece of commerce that has to happen. Like maybe they become an ERP or something, but it's like still when you check out, somebody's got to handle all of the, and again, I know they try to do logistics, but like there's just so many other things that I think they can do besides like the actual storefront, which I don't think is ever going to go away. Like, do think it'll be an addition, and like a lot of checkouts might happen, but I don't know. I think people still like it. I think I've actually always been really bearish on social shopping. Maybe that's why. Like, I've been very bearish on live shopping. I never thought that was going to take over here. And then I've been very bearish on social shopping. And like, again, it's like growing, but there's also been a lot of challenges with it. And I maybe I'm just, getting old again, but I feel like people like websites, and like there is value in having a digital storefront. So I don't know if that's going to go away. Curious your take, but I just think Shopify can have that, and then they can also be, have the checkout and have kind of like the back end piping of, LLM commerce.
Well, I absolutely agree. Shopify is frankly well positioned to be just the back end commerce solution for wherever people are transacting. And the thing about that is like there's almost stronger network effects to that, where it's like I'm never going to move to big commerce if they don't have a YouTube integration, a ChatGPT integration, a TikTok shop, right? Like,
yeah.
Like if you are giving up one of those in order to switch platforms, your job becomes much harder. If you want to compete with Shopify, you need partnerships now with every big platform. Like you're just so much more locked in at that point, but you are a much, much thinner layer of the stack, but an important one. Do I think the website's going away? It's going to become less important for sure. Like we were talking about this recently where I was told this was a millennial thing. If you need to make a big purchase, do you go on your laptop? Like, will you get off your phone and make the purchase on your laptop?
Yeah, dude. I'm a
old head.
I'm a boomer that way. Yeah, my wife will do everything on her phone, and she's like older than I am. She'll do like everything on her phone. Like she'll like work on and open up like Google Docs and stuff. I like can't do that. So yeah, if it's not like an impulse purchase or like an Amazon thing, I'm going computer later on.
Yeah, so I think there are some parallels there where it's like there's still so many people who are like they want to transact on a website. They actually want to go all the way to the fact they want to transact on the website on their big screen. But eventually we're eventually all making every purchase on mobile. And at that point, the true like jonesroadbeauty.com probably becomes less and less important over time. So it will wane for sure.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right, cool. Any last points on ChatGPT or LLM shopping?
If you think I'm an idiot and you think I just like am getting old and need to be more on top of this, slide in the DMs, comment on our YouTube. Let me know. We want to hear the feedback.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, I've been trying to bring up this topic for a couple months now. Have you seen it? This is the third agenda it's made it, and we've never
I looked, but I don't
it.
remember. I looked, but I don't remember where you're going with it.
So I want to talk about
naming conventions.
No, although we're well overdue to discuss that. This is about the amount of text in like a welcome series or a post-purchase series. I bring it up because, and again, this was a while ago.
Yeah.
Here, look, I'll share my screen so we can look at this quickly. All right, I'll pull this up. Elliot Kovac, talking to friend of the pod, Connor Dalt. He said, I signed up for Groon's SMS on July 28th and have received 23 text messages since then. It's basically every single day. And personally, I'm going to be unsubscribing because it's annoying to me. With that said, what Groons is doing is not necessarily wrong at all. One of the most interesting challenges with our clients is finding the right balance for SMS. Should we go very hard like Groons to drive that first conversion at all costs, even when it means lots of unsubscribes? Or should we optimize for purchase aggressively in just the first 5 days and then pull back, keep people retained for more high conversion moments like BFCM? I think this is a super interesting question. I've also signed up for Groons SMS, and they do send a lot of texts. So I'm curious, Cody, if you've talked about this with your team at all in terms of frequency and the balance between driving conversions short term versus unsubscribes versus retaining subscribers over the long term.
Yeah, I'm just looking now because not only am I a Groons subscriber, I'm a multiple Groons subscriber. I just got the immune one because, kids are in school getting sick. I like it. It tastes really good. I really like it. But so I have gotten a lot of texts, and they have a lot of non-transactional ones actually. And so I think there's two things. First of all, what is actually better for performance? And I think that's going to vary, but I can tell you what we've tested and what we found, because I think there's a lot of counterintuitive stuff. Like, I won't bury the lead. You can probably send a lot more than you think. Right. And it's probably, more incremental than you think. And also timing, like we talked about that on the podcast with Michael Epstein. But also, like, what's your just brand approach? Like, there are brands like, I think True Classic is probably pretty aggressive with their post-purchase. In our space, like Il Maquillage will, if you take their quiz and don't buy, like, you're getting 2 emails every day until you die. Like, but they crush it. You know what I mean? And so you're either going to buy or you're going to unsubscribe. And obviously there's a lower incremental cost to that. But I think that's the distinction of, are you approaching it from a brand perspective and you don't want to be spammy? And I think that's very easy for marketers and CX people to kind of insert their biases and egos and a lot of subjectivity. And again, like that's marketing and brand marketing sometimes, but it doesn't always correlate with data. So what we have found is you can send more than you think without people off. And I haven't been able to provide any value of these like very welcoming, educational, like, let me help you use the stuff better. Like it's very subjective, I think. Mm-hmm. And I always try to, test incrementality, do things like that. We're not like hardcore DR offers. Like we're not putting like offers in them, but like we used to think, and I think you said this in a text yesterday with Connor and Zach, like, most people try to send, like most people would think you shouldn't send an email right away because that people haven't gotten the product yet. People are actually going to be most likely to buy right away. That's actually probably your most incremental moment to try to, get them. And every time we've tested, sending more performs better than sending less. I'm sure there's a point where it doesn't, but that's what we've seen.
Yeah, totally. And just to add some more context to that last point, we were talking about our post-purchase offers. And I was saying, intuitively, you would think, hey, the person just purchased from you, let them receive the product, let them like the product. They're going to be most likely to purchase at that point. But really, we continue to move that messaging up, or we continue to for a long time. We can't move it up anymore. And every time we move it up, they're just more likely to purchase. We're just driving more performance at that point. I have some data here. This is in our welcome series. So this is pre-purchase. All right. You can see this. So we ran this last year actually, but we were testing our welcome series and like because there's diminishing returns to additional messages. And that's kind of what you mean, where people don't realize where they're sitting in that diminishing cost curve, basically.
And is this email or SMS?
This is SMS.
Cool. And there's more costs associated. So probably the contribution margin probably diminishes quicker than an email.
For sure. Yeah. SMSs are not free. Can get very expensive very quickly. That's why I guess it's more top of mind for me. But even in this case, what our test was we had 3 segments. We had people getting 1 message, 3 messages, and 6 messages. And then we have earnings per message here. 1 message, $1.94 earning per message, almost $2 just sending the 1 SMS. Fantastic, incredible ROI, et cetera, et cetera. The earnings per message when you send 3 is $1.41. The earnings per message when you send 6 is 91 cents. So obviously, as you send more messages, the value of each one decreases. And then you can look at earnings per flow, and you can look at the delta earning per message. So when we go from 1 message, and that's actually the one that I care about here, I think that's the better indicator, is when you go from 1 to 3 messages, how valuable is message 2 and 3? Basically that the first one's worth $1.94. We did that in the initial test. So what's the value of the next 2? And in this case, it was $1.15. An SMS costs, less than a cent to send. So it's like still an incredibly high ROI. And then what is the value of messages 4, 5, and 6 in the flow that's getting 6 messages? That actually drops off pretty quickly. You go from $1.15 to 41 cents for messages 4, 5, and 6, but still very positive ROI at that point. We should still feel very comfortable sending 6 messages. And if you're Groons, you could probably plot this out for much longer, and they're still probably earning 15, 20 cents even at message 16, 17, and 18 or whatever.
It diminishes, but it's still worth it. It's still incrementally profitable.
All right, I have the pleasure of telling you about our sponsor, Revo, which is a retention platform for Shopify Plus brands. They cover everything from accounts to loyalty, referrals, memberships, store credit, wallet passes, and more. Ridge is a loyal user, as well as Hexclad, Dr. Squatch, True Classic, Portland Leather Goods, Kitsch, LSKD, Princess Polly, Pit Viper, Graza, and hundreds more brands. There's some really big brands relying on Revo to power their retention platform every single day. I am a firm believer in signed-in shopping. One of our strategies to generating more lifetime value is to simply make it a better experience to be a customer of Ridge.com, and Revo plays a key role in that. Stuart, the founder there, one of my favorite people to work with. The platform's fantastic. They're fully bootstrapped. They are shipping features extremely fast with very cool agentic workflows. And lucky for you, they just launched Revo editions with over 30 plus updates, including unified store credit and Revo discount functions that give you more flexibility over how you're giving credit balances and discounts to all of your customers. And my favorite update of all, they are launching wallet passes. So you'll be able to get your customers downloading wallet passes and sending them messages via push notifications. It is totally free for all Shopify Plus stores. Go to revo.io today to check it out.
Are you looking at engagement unsubscribes as well?
We were looking at engagement and unsubscribes here. I don't have it in the I don't have it in the sheet here. That's obviously a factor, but if you can generate an additional 41 cents per message, it's almost always going to be better than the 2% of people who are going to be unsubscribing. And that's what, we're both Postscript customers, but they have a metric that they call SLTV, subscriber LTV, which just balances all of that out. The incremental value per message weighted against the unsubscribe rate to make sure that you're just generating more LTV per subscriber. And it's more or less this. And at this point, subscribers or unsubscribes will be so low, it's not going to make a meaningful impact against a 80x return or whatever a 41 cent earnings per message is.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good analysis. I also like how you're not necessarily setting up an incrementality test, but you are really trying to measure incrementality and trying to see
totally
as we send more, what is the value that we're getting out of that compared to what we had before, and when do we hit a plateau where it doesn't make sense. So now you guys are sending 6.
Yeah, so we're sending 6 now, and honestly, in the future, we should probably test sending more. We know as people sign up or as people just purchase, we should be sending sooner and more often. And right now, we're stopping at 6, but really, we could probably justify going to 12 or 15 or something like that.
I think this is very different from campaigns, actually, because you're kind of because we know that people are most likely to purchase, within a certain time period after their first purchase, you're kind of increasing frequency on already a highly engaged segment. And where I have seen the difference with campaigns is I think you can go higher on frequency of people that are very engaged, which is similar. Yeah. But I think we've seen better performance segmenting our SMS campaigns much better.
Right.
You can probably make slightly less revenue or same amount of revenue for much less cost, just being really thoughtful about your segmentation. So just slight difference on strategy.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And that's kind of what Elliot Kovac is getting at here when he says he's treating this quote unquote highly engaged period as the first 5 days, which I think is probably too small, or at least maybe Connor Dalt would make that argument. But then he goes, and then pull back to keep more people on the list for high conversion moments like BFCM. And that's where I think, you could correct me if I'm wrong here, but oversending campaigns, driving more unsubscribes. Because for us, an SMS campaign might only get 4 cents per send or something, 4 cent EPM. And it's if you're getting a 2 or 3 or 4% unsubscribe rate on a 4 cent EPM, that math is much trickier to do. Whether that is the best long-term solution for your list is actually, I think, far more questionable, especially if you're doing that frequently. Yeah, nail people when you can be driving 20, 30, 40 cent per message earnings, and then sit back and wait till you have the great product launch or the great sale or it's Black Friday or whatever. And then you can re-engage all those people without having gotten them to unsubscribe at any point. And that kind of feels like it might be the best balance.
Yeah, agreed. I think you have to give it a different strategy. One other note, and I think Grunes can do this because they're just crushing it and so successful. They do a lot of order, your orders out for delivery, stuff like that. And even a lot of non-transactional stuff, which again, maybe they find incrementality of it. Yeah. But there is a cost to that. I've decided to not do that. And we'll send people your orders out for delivery emails because there is a pretty significant cost to SMSs, non-transactional ones, we just email. And I don't know if that makes any difference in revenue or user experience, but obviously I think there's a good cost savings that we get. But, Grunes is probably choosing that they're okay with that cost because they think it's a customer experience improvement, which is a total fair decision.
Totally. Yeah. And I think lots of brands will make lots of different decisions. I err on your side where that is where I'd probably like to save costs. If anything, I'd just like to be sending messages about our post-purchase offer instead of telling, that's the exact time where the order's shipping and you can look out for delivery and things like that. That's when we actually have found it most advantageous to be sending the post-purchase offer. So that's where I'd want to be spending time sending SM.
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to talk through post-purchase offers at all, or upsells, or you want to save that to another one? I feel like you guys are doing some cool stuff there.
We could talk about it. We could always do a deeper dive on it in the future. We were going back and forth with Zach Stuck and Connor. I was saying, one, it came to the point of how do you lift 30-day LTV? And actually that's, I know you can expand on this, but that's been our almost exclusive focus as it's related to very, if we're taking a more tactical approach to increasing LTV, we've only really ever focused at this 7 to 14 day to 30 days. That is where we found someone most likely to repurchase. We've seen repurchase rates vary dramatically by category. Someone is basically twice as likely to repurchase within the first 30 days if they're a travel customer versus a wallet customer. So we've honed in that offer, and we do 40% off $100 plus. And we try to tee it up as much as possible as like, hey, you've just decided to carry, the best gear to use every day. We want you to have more of it. So here's like your welcome offer. We tie it to them creating an account from Revo. We have some light personalization on the site as someone signs in and begins to shop with their offer. So I think we try to make it as nice of an experience as possible because I don't love the idea of being like overly promotional immediately. Dak was asking about, is that the same offer that we give someone in the post-purchase upsell? And I was making the point, we actually have a way more dynamic approach or a way more personalized approach, I should say, for the post-purchase upsell. Depending on what you've just ordered, we're trying to push you into very specific products. So for a travel customer, we've seen a lot of success upselling power banks afterwards. Like those products are just very complementary and it's more pointed. Then if you're a travel customer, you can decline or accept the post-purchase upsell, and then you're funneled into the 40% off $100 plus, and you go shop whatever you want, power banks, backpacks, etc. But we haven't done that like open-ended shopping offer in the post-purchase upsell. We've really just focused on it being more or less like a one-click experience. And as I described, kind of a continuation of that initial purchase versus, some sort of dedicated like LTV focus.
I think that's super interesting. And so whatever value you get from that post-purchase offer, that's just like day zero revenue. You don't consider that like an LTV thing, right? That's just like
as soon as it's the second, like the post-purchase upsell is day zero revenue. That is like, you're just editing the initial order. So that person's only purchased once. Then you're getting the post-purchase offer on day 2 and 3 and 6 and 7. Those would all be, that's like day 1 through 30 or whatever. Oh, actually, I have one other thing. I talked to a candidate when we were hiring for a role a couple months ago, and I won't say the brand, but they were working on something. They were calling it the Double Dash post-purchase offer.
I love it already.
Yeah, totally. I'm not a big DoorDash user, so it took me a while to put that reference together. But on DoorDash, when you order delivery from a restaurant, they'll give you like 15 minutes to add an item on from anywhere else. And they'll push you into like a big gulp from 7-Eleven or something like that. And they took that approach. And I forget how long they would delay the order, but they actually wouldn't send the order to their fulfillment for like 8 hours or something. It was like quite a while. And then they like basically, where we have a post-purchase upsell where we're trying to get someone to add an additional item in like the 5 minutes after they purchase, they were doing it for 8 hours, and they would add in email and SMS as an experience. And then if someone purchased more, they would just edit that order and then they would send it to fulfillment. I'm like, that feels, at least from Ridge's perspective, unexplored. I think that's a super exciting thing.
Yeah, we do an hour. We have something that can delay it, and we can do a one-click upsell for an hour. And because we don't like to do discounting, like I'm trying to get more aggressive with our offer, but not, discount. So I think there's probably more that we can explore, but I like that as well. I think that's really interesting and cool. It's like, hey, you're already getting free shipping. Might as well have this other thing. It's like, at least it feels like there's some urgency in savings compared to having to, it's not like the same as like a discount. I feel like for a discount, probably they're going to take it in 10 minutes or not, But for if there's other things you're trying to throw in there, one I'm excited about. So we use like PDQ for like our like checkout optimization shipping, and we're hopefully going to be using them for post-purchase upsell as well, and like this like order editing feature. I don't like discounting products. I'm totally happy to discount shipping. And so like one that I'm excited to test is like a priority shipping. Is like discount that as like a post-purchase offer.
Okay, so if you add another item, we'll ship it with priority.
Oh, that's a good idea. I didn't think about that. More of just like a standalone, actually. I like your idea better. It's just like, hey, you want to get it faster? Priority shipping, usually $15. We'll give it to you for $8.
Yeah. So when you guys delay the order for an hour, what are the touch points trying to get someone to add an item?
Mostly confirmation page. So like your post-purchase upsell. I don't know if we're sending an email right now because I don't know if it makes sense within an hour. I've wanted to. I just got to check if we're doing that.
Yeah,
I feel like 8 hours, you can definitely send an email.
Yeah, okay. So we're in a similar spot where it's really just like focus on that confirmation page. You also have an hour. You have people, need to like correct their address or something, like make small edits to the order. I think we're actually going to implement that. We're going to make sure everything's checking out going into Q4. We have a call about it later today to make sure that just like light touch order edits can be made from Revo's account page. Yeah, the 8 hours is crazy because they were adding in email and SMS. So they had like an entire little mousetrap built out trying to get someone to add it like in a very short amount of time. And honestly, they were probably doing things like whether it's promoting the product or upgrading to priority. I think it's just like, it seems like really obvious. It's like as early as you can make that upsell, the better. And it's like, yeah, if you can just do it for 8 hours and just like get someone to add more items and you have the flexibility of driving them to maybe specific landing pages or whatever, maybe there's some sort of exclusive bundle available to people in this at this touch point. I just think it seemed like a really, really cool experience.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's really cool. Yeah, I'm excited to test some of the shipping stuff. I like your idea, actually. Add another product and get free shipping, but maybe it gets you over threshold. And that's a cool thing. We might be able to personalize it. Let's say somebody was under threshold, like the same way that we would show them, hey, you're this far away from free shipping threshold, like pre-purchase. You could just do the same thing post, and then maybe like upgrade their shipping as well to give it like another one.
So if you are a brand spending, 8 figures on media, you have a very diverse channel mix, you definitely do not want to be going into Q4 without Prescient. Prescient AI is going to help you beat all your goals in this critical quarter. It's going to put you ahead of the competition. BFCM's coming fast and there's still a lot to do to finalize the Q4 strategy. There's a bunch of questions I find marketers asking themselves headed into Q4. And I think Prescient can actually help solve and answer a lot of these questions. So I just wanted to run through a few of those. Question number 1, if you're wondering, should you increase, decrease, or reallocate spend for the shopping season, Prescient shows you the optimal media mix to drive the strongest Q4 performance, whether your budget grows or shrinks. I think that's one of my favorite parts about Prescient. You can actually say, hey, I'm currently at spend levels X, but I'm going to bring my spend to Y in the next X number of days. Where should I put this budget? And Prescient's going to actually deliver recommendations based on your current BFCM dynamics, your vertical, and your optimal ad spend allocation. And then the next question becomes, can I adjust this in real time? HexCloud moves budgets around a lot in Q4, and we really need to know, hey, where should we put that budget? So being able to do that spend forecasting exercise and letting Prescient know how much you're going to increase your budget, and then they're giving you an optimal media mix, just makes it really easy and straightforward to allocate your ad dollars efficiently. You might also be wondering and thinking, I don't have time to onboard a new tool mid-season. Like, how can I get MMM level of visibility? That's one of the best parts about Prescient is it is super easy to onboard. They connect to your data sources in days and has your Shopify brand live in about 10 days. So you're getting granular, actionable results really fast. So Q4, it's make or break for Shopify brands, and Prescient helps you make more than you're going to break. It gives you full funnel visibility and campaign level insights, not just showing where clicks convert, but all channels influence each other across Shopify, Amazon, and retail. It is the only media mix modeling tool revealing halo effects on Amazon sales. So again, gives you the super holistic look at your total distribution. And finally, Prescient helps marketing leaders make smarter decisions in real time with full funnel visibility and actionable insights for the strongest Q4 you can possibly have. So if you're interested in checking out Prescient, go to prescientai.com/operators.
I have another personalization question for you. So we started doing pod. I want to give you an update on how podcast is going because it's doing well. Mm-hmm. Do you guys do any like personalization for any like podcast influencer, like vanity URLs? Like let's say I go, ridge.com/Cody, right? Or Rogan, we'll say. Like, are you having any banners that come up that show offers? I don't even know if you're doing offers. Is that something you guys do and test?
So we've gone back and forth on this. We've become way less, years ago, and this is not hard to set up. So if this works with the way that a brand does promos, and I would recommend it, everybody always gets a vanity URL just because you get link tracking and things like that. We used to do 10% off codes for everybody. So MKBHD would get you 10% off, or Rogan or whatever. If you went through that link, we would do a light personalization at the top of the messaging bar that says use code MKBHD for 10% off. I think that's an extremely lightweight way to do it. It's probably worth doing. We don't do codes anymore, though, especially for us during promo periods, we no longer use codes. So that becomes less applicable, and therefore we do less personalization. We went through a phase where we were building out what we'd call VIP pages, and there's a lot of good. Vessi does this well. They're probably one of my favorites off the top of my head here. We've slowed that down a little bit. We've built out a number of VIP pages. You end up creating just a lot of surface area that's tough to update over time. I'm like, okay, you get the benefit of, if you go to ridge.com/PewDiePie, you'd land on a page that has PewDiePie's face holding the wallet, which is really cool. But over time, if that page is getting updated far less frequently with new products and what sale is going on, then is it actually a net benefit? I think was a big question mark for us. So we've kind of reeled that back in a lot. But those are the two best examples I have for you of on-site personalization for partnerships.
Yeah, it makes sense. When you were testing it, did you see a lift? Is there a clear hey, things convert better when you have that banner in there compared to not?
I don't know about the messaging banner. I think that's one's pretty intuitive though. I'm like, why not just put that messaging at the top? We did also test the VIP pages, and we did see, this was years ago, so I don't remember the percentage lift, but we did see a meaningful lift of partnership traffic. If you could send them to a personalized page, it was beneficial. It just became a question mark of how beneficial was it over time, because all those pages just become outdated. What I would love to do in the future is build those pages more dynamically. So, like getting into like some Shopify stuff. We use Shogun. So what I'd want to do is use like global snippets across all the pages. So that way, when we needed to launch the Father's Day sale, we could update our global snippets and it would publish across all of our partnership VIP pages. So then they would all have the updated Father's Day messaging. That's ideal scenario. You get the personalized experience and you get the flexibility of those pages being up to date with the latest messaging, but that'll be something we do in the future.
I feel like the banner is like a lighter weight version of it where you don't get like the whole image and stuff, but you should be able to get that as well. And just like even get like an image and like change their headline in there.
Totally.
Yeah, I think that should be available. I agree. We're doing a lot of paid social landers. And again, we have tons of templates built out, but like creator pages for partnership ads, if they're above a certain tier. And right now we're just trying to see if we have a lift. But because it takes duplicating the page and then editing.
Are you actively testing it?
Yeah. And so far, so good.
Yeah.
So far, likely worth it for, I think logistically, we're never going to do it below a certain size. Maybe if they're like below 1 million, we're not going to. But above that, like we're testing it. And so far it looks pretty good.
Yeah. We've probably built out like 40 or 50 of them. And I totally agree. We would do it for the bigger ones. Like we did PewDiePie. We do MKBHD. We do ones like that. Again, if you were to go to those URL links right now, it would probably redirect to the homepage because we've like kind of sunset the strategy. But in the past, we've done all these, especially around those creators activations where like we know for 2 weeks, like not only is this personalized, but it has all the messaging that we want. And then we would do for like long-term partners where Fat Electrician, we signed a deal this year for like 20 videos. And it's like, he would get a VIP page. If we think we're going to, so it's not so much about subscriber count, but about like total expected views. And if you have a big long-term engagement, then maybe that justifies a page as well.
That makes sense. Like I think I'll see if I can get it ready in time. Like our biggest pod that we're going to do for like this quarter is going to be Mel Robbins. Like it would be nice to have if you land on a Vanna URL, like use code Mel for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just got to be, is it worth the lift? And I love your aggressive templatization idea, but it's just like, how do you have the templates where it's like as low lift as possible to spin these things up?
Yeah, in this case, it's aggressively templatizing and then making sure the templates are more dynamic. That was the mistake that we made in the past, where it was like updating the 50 VIP pages is like basically impossible, or like such a pain in the ass, it's not worth doing. Okay, so you guys are a couple weeks into podcasting. You're saying it's going well. Are you doing discount codes?
We are now. We're doing gift with purchase codes. We just don't discount. So it's just like our rule. So we'll try to find other things. So we're doing GWP codes. Here's what we're finding. So we're 2 weeks in. We're just over 2 weeks in. We're using Podscribe, which is Pixel, using IP and stuff. We're at a 0.8 ROAS, which I'm curious how you feel about Podscribe and their attribution and how generous it is. But I feel like that is really strong for this initial test because podcast is probably a longer term channel and we're just starting out, so we don't know which type of shows are performing. So I'm pumped about it, but you can kind of kill my dreams.
Yeah. So Podscribe has incremental. So Podscribe, it's been a while since I've thought about it, but it's a podcast specific analytics tool. They largely focus on the audio platforms. They have, and then they like are matching the IPs. So it's like, actually from like a conceptual perspective, I like their approach to measurement. Like it seems better than anything else. We also, when we onboarded, we started with Podscribe this year again to do it. Previously, we've almost only sponsored YouTube creators that like you do get quite a few link clicks. We used to use discount codes more, but as you move to podcasting and as we move away from discount codes, we needed Podscribe to like have some sort of source of truth. So we do that. And then we do the post-purchase survey, which I think you guys are doing as well.
We are. So here's what we're seeing so far. Tell me how this compares. And again, we're pretty early. I'm just looking at like a few shows for promo. And I don't think as many people are going to use a gift with purchase promo code compared to a discount.
Totally.
So I think it's discounted. We're doing above a $85 threshold, so even less. But like this one show that we spent $5K on, we have 19K promo code uses, and 146 vanity URL conversions. So like huge delta. Like I was expecting like a 2-to-1 or something. Huge delta. Another show 16 to 122.
Wait, sorry. Just for those, you spend $5K. You said 15K in discount code uses and 149 conversions.
19 discount code uses.
Oh, 19.
And then 146 vanity URL conversions. So like the point being, like if we were just looking at discount codes, if the vanity URL conversions are true, if we were just looking at discount code usage, like it's undercutting it by 90%.
Right.
Something.
Yeah. I hate discount code as a attribution source. I think a lot of people never use codes.
Yeah.
And I might be biased. I have like friends who have podcasts, and I'll go to their subscribers pages, and it's like, it is in my very best interest to like save money and help my friends, and I won't use a code.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm totally against that. I weight the link clicks. I think those are super valuable. I would weight like post-purchase responses, I think are pretty good. But yeah, I'm not at all surprised to hear that people aren't actually using the codes.
Yeah, I've felt like this for kind of these channels. I have thought that codes are low. I felt like this for, again, especially with gift with purchases. I feel like post-purchase undercuts it. Like even if you multiply it by, whatever your completion rate is, like it's still, we're definitely seeing a lift and an uptick, which is great. Podscribe looks significantly better. So I'm curious, how the agency will think about that. Do you know how your post-purchase compares to like your Podscribe reported?
Yeah, we go back and forth. We do both. We have two columns and we say if something is above our target from Podscribe or above our target from the post-purchase, we'll kind of weight those. And if it wins in both, then it's like, we'll re-up with that buy. And then if it's one or the other, then we'll like kind of make a split decision from there. I actually feel at times, and it will depend on the channel. It's just so dependent. Like attribution for partnerships generally is like just kind of a shoot. Like there's just no good way to do it. Because I also feel at times if you duplicate, if you're getting 40% of customers to answer your post-purchase survey, so then you multiply everything by 2.5x to get to 100%, I actually think you can end up over-attributing to podcasts or YouTubes. Because basically like, and the ad reads will say this, they'll say like, tell Ridge we sent you. The call to action is to fill out the post-purchase survey. I'm like, I think those people are doing it at such a higher rate than some random person coming from Snapchat. So all of a sudden, if they're taking up a larger percentage of people who are answering, then if you multiply it to get to 100%, you're going to end up over-attributing. So I don't love it either, but I just like it as a signal. Like you want to see people coming through and saying where they came from. So, okay, to backtrack a little bit, Podscribe 0.8, Podscribe does a normal ROAS number and an incremental ROAS number. Is that incremental?
No, I don't know how to find that.
All right. So your incremental is going to be even lower. Unfortunately, I had to break that.
But no, of course. But I feel like 0.8, again, 2 weeks in, brand new channel. It's a little bit more of a new audience reach and awareness channel. So 2 weeks in, it's probably going to mature and get better. And then again, we're only going to get better at picking networks and shows.
Yeah, totally. No, dude, podcasts can work for you guys, for sure. I'm super bullish on the strategy. One thing that we've also seen in the past is we've seen creators like almost eerily fall into like the 80-20 split.
I was going to ask about that.
Like, I've done, I think it's Q4 2023. We spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on creators. I do this big assessment and it's like, 20% of the creators drove 80% of the revenue. And that's kind of the strategy, especially if you're just starting. Like we have a much higher ROAS than 0.8, but we've been doing this for a really long time. Like we know what works. We're re-upping. A large percentage of our budget is podcasts that we're re-upping with. It's the same with our creator program. So we've like chosen winners that perform relatively reliably. And you guys will get there too. Because if you have a 0.8, then you have multiple people at like 2x plus.
Yeah, no, but so the thing was with the 0.8, right? We have, because you have a spend curve or like a revenue curve that's probably going to materialize over like, 30 days and it'll be, pretty significant on the back half or pretty split, right? All of our spend is coming now. So we have like 100K of spend that we never had before, right?
Yeah,
you get to month 3 and you're kind of rolling over. And yes, even though there's a longer curve, like your revenue curve and your spend curve are at least like had time to match up with each other.
You're absolutely right.
And I mean, it's like, so it's almost like a delayed attribution effect. So that's why like, let's chat in 2 weeks. I'm pretty sure that's going to be like well above I don't know if you're at a 2, but like it'll be a well above a 0.8, I think.
Yeah. All right, dude. We'll have to circle back.
Like we just launched a new TV platform, right? First day after we had like a $700 CAC, and then second day we're $300, and then like in 2 days it'll be back to normal numbers.
You're refreshing hourly.
Yes. No, the opposite. It's like, let me not look at this for a week.
Yeah. No, you're looking at the number go down. This sounds fun.
2 years ago, we had a crazy Black Friday. We were actually one of the top selling brands and products on Shopify. It was really cool. Harley shouted us out on TV and everything, which was awesome. But it wasn't all good news. With unforeseen growth comes some challenges. And one of the challenges we had was we had a crazy backlog of CX tickets. At one point, I'm embarrassed to say we had a 7-day average response time that lasted for longer than it should have. A big part of it was our CX software was just not scalable and couldn't keep up. We were using one of those old legacy slow players. There was no AI involved. There was no automation, and just the UX was not great. And so when we came into Black Friday of last year, we knew we needed to prepare better. So we switched to Rich Panel. It was pretty close before Black Friday. Onboarding was really quick. 2 weeks was all it took. They got all of our macros there. They got all of our tickets. They trained our team. They just took care of everything. We got the self-service widget set up. I think now like 40% of people are actually getting responses just by the self-service widget. And then we're using obviously a lot of the AI. They have this like social AI moderation tool that us and Ridge are big fans of. Our average response time is now within hours. We've gone from 18 people to 10. We're able to, our CSAT is higher than it's ever been. And so last Black Friday, no backlog, all of our peak moments, we're able to, without having to fully ramp up our team or like go crazy with it, we're able to get back to people way better, provide a better customer experience. And Rich Panel is a huge part of that. So if you want to get ready before peak season, before Q4 and Black Friday, switch to Rich Panel. You'll save money on software. You won't need as many people and you'll be able to just provide a better service for your customers. So go to richpanel.com/demo and tell them Cody from Marketing Operators sent you.
All right, I've got one more thing on the docket. And before we get into it, one of the things that inspired this that I'm super excited by is NBA basketball is back this week. Are you a Nets fan?
I'm like the worst sports fan where like my teams have been so bad for like a decade that like I'll watch whoever's good. I used to be a Nets fan. I used to be a Jets fan. My wife's an Eagles fan, so I watch the Eagles more than the Jets now.
All right, super fair. I have become an obsessive Utah Jazz fan over the last year and a half. Worst team in basketball. They're absolutely dreadful. It might lose some of its luster of being a fan over the next 3 years, but I've been listening to more or less daily basketball all offseason. I'm like way too obsessed with the Utah Jazz at this point. So I'm excited NBA basketball is back. The thing that inspires this question is basically these NBA podcast hosts have to figure out what to talk about all offseason when no basketball is being played. So everybody just does these like fake drafts all the time. There was one, this is actually really stupid. It technically wasn't a draft. It was a bracket competition of best basketball moves of all time. And they ranked like Hakeem Olajuwon's dream shake against, Allen Iverson's crossover. Silly stuff. That leads me to my question for you. Marketing team draft. You're starting a brand today from scratch. You have $0 in revenue. I'd like to know who your first 3 marketing hires are.
Okay. I'm going to go with a director of growth.
And just give me number 1. So you're going director of growth. I'd love to hear what salary range and what are their responsibilities.
Okay. So let's say they're like 6 figures. Like this is a director of growth who can get their hands dirty. Like they're the media buyer for now. So like they're a senior media buyer. They're getting their hands dirty into the account. Like if you need to give them a VA to upload stuff, like you can do that. But they are building landers, optimizing landers. They're running tests. They're running media. Like they are the growth department.
And are you do they have creative skills?
I have my first 2 hires decided already. And so I haven't decided on creative yet. My second one is like and again, I don't know if it's director or manager of influencer. So I would go creator-led, influencer-led from the beginning. I would go A for seeding, for paid distribution, and then I'd obviously go heavy partnership ads. So I'd start getting really good at that from the beginning.
Okay, now we talk a lot about like performance creative strategist roles. Do you think this director of influencer has those sorts of skills, like strategizing around content, briefing to creators, doing that? Or is it more like influencer where they're doing outreach, they're negotiating deals, they understand culturally where social's going and who they want to be working with?
I think it's more that, but like a core KPI is like supply the ad account with information.
For sure.
So like, they don't need to know like, hey, I'm going to run ASC versus ABO, but they need to know like, hey, this is what performs in our account. I think I would go, again, like I don't have that much context. I'm going to go director growth who's really leading like creative, because I think you can go and you don't need a creative strategist for the beginning if your director of growth is good at it, and like your director of growth should be good at it. Like they should know, they should be able to, brief somebody to build status, right? In this scenario, do I have like freelancers, agencies, or like I only have the resources I have internally?
Well, like I imagine we get to make the rules here, but like, you get a website to start, right? Like you could have paid a freelancer or an agency to build your site.
All right, cool. Because I'm like, so if I only have the resource I have internally, my third hire is some type of a designer, and they're just like a crack like designer editor, right? Because I think what good is having a creative strategist if you don't have the ability to edit stuff? And so if I can't have an agency for it, I would go director of growth who also is your buyer, does landing page optimization, stuff like that. Head of influencer gets all your creative and gets, organic reach, and then designers who does, web, landing page design, static design, stuff like that. That would be my team.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I think that's really good. So your answers, were there any of those that you were split on, or is that pretty clear cut for you?
If I could have if I could hire like an agency for a freelancer for static design, I'd almost be like, I want a marketing chief of staff. Like my third person would just be a generalist.
So no retention in top 3. That's if I had your top 2, I'd be really tempted to go like email marketer.
Who are you retaining if you're a brand new brand and you don't have anyone?
The people who my director of growth have acquired.
Yeah, no, I think your director of growth can do that for a while. That's what we did. Like I had when Jones Road launched, I was the only growth person, and I had one associate, and they were if I needed web stuff, they helped with that. If I needed, they were kind of retention. I just don't know if you need a dedicated retention role. All right, what's your 3?
Yeah, so your answers will have influenced mine, which kind of taints the purity of the draft here. I'm supposed to have come in, if this were a true NBA podcast, I would have come in with my answers beforehand. They would have been well thought out. I have notes, etc. When I was thinking about it this morning, I think my first hire would be more like a performance creative strategist. I actually really like your influencer take. When you first said it, I said, that's crazy. I'm like, day one, you got an influencer person. But if you think about, I'm just biased. I'm thinking we have thought about influencer in a very particular way. But if you think about that role as being large and mid-tier influencers, and you're doing product seeding, and you're creating all that content with the purpose of supplying the ad account, I think you and I are addressing the same goal. I would do it with number 1. I'd want someone who's just really good at getting great content. I think there's so little value today in the media, the true just tactical media buying aspect, that I just want fantastic content. So I'd try to solve that with number 1. I will say, I didn't give you any rules. Your director of growth's carrying a lot of weight. I would also, I'd love the silver bullet director of growth who's doing web retention and media buying.
But you probably did that for a while.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'd hire Connor McDonald. For sure.
I did that for a while. I'm thinking Zach Stuck. Can I hire Zach Stuck?
Yeah, totally. No, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I'd go creative number 1.
Where you get the next step, next time we do this and we have more time, it's hey, this person is 10 points, this person is 5, and you get $20 that you can spend total.
Yeah, we should totally do that. I mean, because it's a big question. If you're starting a brand today from square one, if we had the true constraints of starting a brand, I mean, it can be done under all types of conditions, I guess. I think a lot of people are working with extremely constrained budgets, where one of my thoughts is, I think I could get a very junior person in this creative strategist role, and I think I could train them up very effectively. I think that person could become disproportionately valuable relative to their cost very quickly. So that's one thing I would say. I'd probably I'd go performance creative. Number 2 will probably be some sort of designer editor. And then I'd probably, my honest thought was I'd go email, SMS
So who's running your media? Who's building landers? Who's building e-com?
I wouldn't build that many landers. I would drive people to my site first. Yeah. And maybe I'm cheating a little bit here, but I would truly, if I was starting a brand today, you have to build your site at some point. And having a web developer or a web designer as number 1, 2, 3 is not what you would do.
No, yeah, you get agency for initial site build. You get
for sure. So I'd have 1 5 reasons page, and that's what I would try to work with. And literally anybody could go in and change copy or change images. I wouldn't be spending all that much time iterating on that, frankly. I would just try to create great content. And then who would be running the media buying? Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, my point being, I don't think it's that hard. I'd also treat that as almost bottom of the barrel. Hey, yeah, we're gonna set up purchase optimized campaigns with great content and great designed ads, and that's where we're gonna run here. And we're gonna have the designer build statics and emails. So the emails that we do capture, we'll be able to retain those people and message to them for a long time. That's kind of how I would do. I would it's really just a matter of prioritizing expertise, and I would put ad account setup really, really low on.
Yeah, so you're going performance creative, which I totally agree with. That's a great hire, and that makes so much sense. Designer, editor, you need. If you have the creative strategist, you need them. And then you're on retention third.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I just think you can get a growth person that you don't need the best in the world at anything. And I would go 60-40 acquisition to retention focus, right?
Yeah.
Get somebody who's more background there who can set up Klaviyo flows, send emails. I don't think you have to have the expert at retention. I also agree with you. You don't need the media buyer expert, but I just think you probably want that person flex. Otherwise, like who's running your media? Like I know it's easy, but like someone's still got to be in the ad account. That's your creative strategist is in the ad account?
Yeah. In this scenario.
Well, okay. So you think media buying is dead then?
For sure. And that's why I want to talk. We'll talk in the future about redefining the media buying role. I'm like,
this is a good teaser.
Dude, 100%. And you can imagine how fun it can be going a whole NBA offseason, not playing a game of basketball and just doing these like fun fantasy drafts all the time.
I like that. I like this topic. I think we should do more. We should spice it up.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. All right. You want to call that an episode?
Let's do it.
All right. Thank you for listening to another episode of Marketing Operators. As always, like, subscribe, comments on YouTube, tweet at us. I want to hear your top 3 marketing draft hires if you were starting a brand today. As always, thank you to our sponsors, Motion, Rich Panel, Prescient, Aftersell, and Revo. We will see you next week.